This is Chris Kell with LakelandLocal.com, here to discuss a couple exercise selection choices when we're talking about energy system training. Now, looking at the different energy system, we have aerobic training, which we can sustain over a long period of time, anaerobic training, which is anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, and alactate training, anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds. And when we're looking at exercises for each of these, they go on a sliding scale. The more intense an exercise is, the less amount of time that we can sustain this thing, and the more applicable it would be to, say, alactate training. On the other end of the scale, the easier something is, the longer we can sustain it, the more aerobic it's going to be. So when we're looking at these choices, we kind of have to pick things that fit this profile. So if we're thinking about aerobic training, we have anything from maybe walking on a high incline, to riding a stationary bike, to a circuit where I program 3 exercises, say a push-up, a ball slam here, and maybe an alternating lunge. I set my clock for 5 to 10 minutes, and I just perform these exercises in sequence. I go from the slam to the push-up, into the lunge, just repeating as many times as I could. My heart rate would be up, but it's something that I could sustain. I could keep going. When it goes above, the aerobic level, I could stop. I could allow it to come back down to where I want it, and I can keep on for as long as I need to. That bodyweight circuit is a great alternative to maybe jogging or to, something that's a bit harder on your knees, and it's something that we want to consider. Like if you do jogging on day 1, you might do an aerobic circuit in week 2. So that's a good exercise there. Now when we're getting into the anaerobic zone, we need to do things that are a little more intense. So we're upping the ante a little bit. We're looking for things that can be sustained from anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Generally this will come in the form of intervals, 60 to 90 seconds at a time. We can do things like squat jumps. When we're talking about circuits, mountain climbers, maybe some sprinting on the treadmill. And what we often do is we'll program 3 to 4 exercises performed back to back for maybe 3 sets of 30 to 60 seconds at a time. Alternatively, you could do sprinting on the treadmill. You can do what are called shuttle runs outside, where you do maybe an 80% sprint for a period of 1 minute at a time. But the point is, keep it between 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Now, when we're getting into this alactate phase, it becomes a little more complicated. Basically, you have to perform the most horrible exercise you can think of and then multiply it by 10. We're only doing this for 10 seconds. So to truly get our heart rate up to around 90 to 95%, what we're looking for here, you have to do the hardest thing physically possible. In order to do that, I'm just going to demonstrate a few things that I find to be particularly terrible. Alright, obviously we have sprinting outside. That's a really good one but for people that can't get outside, as winter approaches, we have a couple different options here. Alright, our first example would be an incline treadmill sprint. Obviously Florida is flat, but one thing I love to do are hill sprints. They're a great exercise. They really take it out of you, but because they're at an incline, it kind of buffers resistance a bit. So it's a really good alternative activity to maybe sprinting on flat land. So I'm going to get the speed up here to about 7 miles per hour. I'm going to turn the clock here to time. I'm just going to sprint for 10 seconds. That sucked, and I'm recovering for 30 seconds. I'm going back again. When we're talking about alactate, intervals 10 to 20 seconds, you want to rest for maybe 30 seconds at a time, or however long it takes you to get your heart rate back down. Another example would be an Airdyne sprint. The Airdyne is a great piece of equipment, a great alternative for people with knee problems or low back problems. And what I'm going to do here is set the clock for 10 seconds. I'm just going to sprint as fast as I can. Now, my heart rate is up, but if you sit on that thing, you do that for 5-6 rounds, 30 seconds rest in between each one, you're going to be gassed in a period of 4 to 5 minutes. That's all the conditioning that you need. Slow walk after that. And again, just break them up. One day you would do alactate training, one day you would do aerobic training, one day anaerobic training. And that's a great way to keep from plateauing with energy system training.